What if a luxury cruise felt more like a private music festival at sea? What happens when luxury cruising meets world-class music? Smooth jazz legend Dave Koz joins Cruise Addicts to talk about SOMMA 2026, the luxury music cruise aboard Silversea's Silver Nova, sailing the jewels of the Adriatic. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today.
John, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be on your show to talk about cruising, which
Yes.
we love to do.
Yes, of course, we love cruising. And wow, you've been really busy. You've actually had 15 years of sold-out voyages with Dave Koz and Friends at sea, which many people describe as a floating musical festival. What do you think has made these cruises so successful, Dave?
Well, it's been an amazing, almost like a magic carpet ride. I started in 2005 working for another producer and learned the business. And then in 2011, we took it in-house and started producing it ourselves. And a few years later, we developed a travel agency that could help us. So it's like everything is in-house when we can, from the first phone call or the first email till the person gets off of the ship from the cruise, these are all touch points that we have the ability to control and sort of curate a really beautiful experience for a particular type of music lover. And I play the saxophone. I've been doing this for close to 40 years now, making music and traveling the world and playing. And I noticed years ago how our community really developed. And it's a really powerful, beautiful community made up of everybody, young and old and all different races and religions and Republicans and Democrats and gay and straight. It's just a real big tent philosophy. But the thing that binds everybody together is their shared love of music. So once you step foot on the ship, you're not just getting on a ship with a bunch of people you don't know. Even if you don't know those the 2,000 other people, you are connected to them because everybody's friends because they love the music. And so this is what we've been doing for now 15 years, producing our bigger cruises. And we have now an offshoot that we started a few years ago, a luxury component called SOMMA on a much smaller ship. So the person that's the most surprised by all of this, John, is me. I can't even believe that it happened this way, but I'm very grateful and I'm super, super excited about what we have planned in the future. Our tagline is seeing the world together through music. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it's really incredible. So I'm going to ask you from a musician standpoint, what do you think it is about music that actually brings all these people, like you said, everyone together and at peace? It really is magical. What is that? If you could could you sum that up? Have you figured that out yet?
Well, it's a daily question for me too. I think that especially given the world that we find ourselves living in at this moment, which is built around a lot of fear and conflict and disunity, right. Music is something that brings people together. Music is a bridge, and you could have two people that disagree completely on substantive issues, and yet if you play one song that they both like, there's the bridge there that can connect people. And I think having music as the driver for our community allows us to bring in a lot of different people who may have a lot of lines that separate them normally, but when we get on the cruise, all those lines are erased. Everything that separates people is kind of thrown out the water, and what's left is this just beautiful, supportive community of people that see the other guests as the beautiful souls that they are, and what can we all add to it? It's not just about me and the other performers and our staff and our crew. It's really about the guests adding that special sauce to the experience, so that when you walk off the ship after a week, you're being totally immersed in music. I mean, it's music left and right all day long in every nook and cranny of that ship. So you cannot see it all, John. There's way too much programming to see it all. So you have to be selective. But when you walk off, you have had an incredibly full experience seeing beautiful places, and being taken care of by a wonderful staff on the ship. So it's a full experience. It's a 360-degree experience that hopefully brings people a week of their lives that they'll never forget.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I got to tell you, I'm very impressed how you got into this world of cruising and theme cruising, and that you actually control the whole experience for the guests. So there's no loose ends. There's no because you have control of the whole thing from start to finish. That's really wonderful, and sounds very unique too.
Well, it's been a really wonderful thing to develop a team that cares as much as I do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that work on this. We're about ready to do our South America cruise on Celebrity, and this is the first time that we've worked with Celebrity. And we've got about 3,000 guests that are descending on Sao Paulo, Brazil, to start this 8-day adventure, and about 200 staff members, including about 100 musicians and artists.
Wow.
So it's a huge undertaking to coordinate all of that in a foreign country, no less.
Yeah.
But the thing that blows me away every year that we do it is how it does. I guess it's my name on the side of the ship, it's a Dave Koz cruise, but everybody cares like it's their cruise. And I think that the power of all these people coming together that really believe in the mission, that's what we provide for our guests. And I think that's why these cruises sell out and why we have a lot of repeat business.
That's amazing. And so we're going to talk about what you've been working on recently. I know this is the third one. What inspired you to create SOMMA, and how is it different from the Dave Koz Cruise and Friends, Dave, I'll say it right, Dave Koz cruises that fans already know and love?
Well, as I mentioned just a minute ago, the larger cruises take place on larger ships. We've worked with Holland America, we work with Royal Caribbean. This is the first time we're working with Celebrity, and those ships are 2,000, 3,000 people, sometimes 3,500. So it's a different kind of experience. And what I noticed is I spend a lot of time with the guests.
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing. Of course, I am playing a lot and doing shows, but my favorite aspect of being on these cruises is just being around the guests and talking and having dinner and waiting in line to see some other artists show. And I've heard from so many of our guests that they were looking for something different, a different kind of musical experience, that a smaller ship, more intimacy, a little bit more of a luxury experience. And so we started to listen to our guests, and we knew that there was a segment of that population that wanted a different kind of elevated experience, and not just music, but also mind, body, soul, and enrichment. And so we put our heads together, and a few years we created this new brand called SOMMA, SOMMA. And SOMMA is designed to be on smaller ships that can get into smaller ports. It's a much more quieter experience. It's unlike our other cruise, which is kind of manic. You're jumping all over the place. It's like a real floating jazz festival or music festival. This is really quieter, and it allows the ships to really be part of the star. Of course, we have star power as well. We have a wonderful speaker series that last year we had 2 astronauts on. We had a medical doctor that specializes in type 2 diabetes. We had a technologist talking about AI. So during the day, when people come back on the ship, they're informative talks that kind of enrich people's minds. And then at night, you have beautiful long dinners and you have shows, but it's not overpacked. So it allows people to really sink into the more quieter rhythm of a cruise. Our first 2 cruises were on the Seabourn Ovation, which is a smaller ship, about 600 passengers. And the first one was in the Italian Riviera, and the second one was in the French Riviera.
Nice.
And for the next one, which is November of this year, it's the Jewels of the Adriatic. And that is on, for the first time, Silversea, the Silver Nova. And I just took with my team a test cruise in the Caribbean a couple months ago. And I got to say, I think that's the nicest ship I've ever been on. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they say it's very modern and has all the new amenities and state of the art.
Butler service,
Oh,
every
wow.
room is a suite. Butler service, top shelf, everything. Wine, the wines that they pour, the cocktails, the food, and there's like 8 different restaurants on it. It's a smaller ship, but there's so many different options for our guests, and so I'm really excited about taking this particular cruise coming up in November. And it's one of the most beautiful parts of the world. It starts in Athens, Greece, and cruises to Venice, Italy, with stops, a couple of stops in Italy and Montenegro and Croatia. And so this is the Adriatic at its best, with your favorite musicians on board.
That's amazing. So what made Silversea and this ship the right partner for this experience?
Well, it's a little bit bigger than the Seabourn Ovation. Seabourn Ovation, I think, is 600, and this one is a little over 700, giving us, it's still a small ship. It's still got the intimacy, but it gives us a chance to have a few more people on board, which is one thing. And the other thing that I noticed, I am always, I'm a novice when it comes. I'm doing cruises for a lot of years, but you're way more knowledgeable about this business than I am. So I'm always interested to see what the different cruise brands have to offer. And so we were just curious about Silversea. We saw the ship before we booked it and before we charted it. And I think my team and I, we were just blown away by the appointments. It is, to what you just said, it's so new and so lush and so well appointed. And the staff, it's just, you feel like it's like a floating Four Seasons. It's really, really top shelf in every aspect. And so I think we were just blown away, and we decided, let's give this a try.
So you've obviously done 2 of these. This is gonna be the third. How do you think the guests, because you know them so well, and you're selling the other artists, how do you think it's going to elevate the total experience for everyone that's going to be here in November?
That's a great point, and I think the guests, as I've said all along, the guests add so much to it as well. This is just everybody. It's not one particular demographic, and even on this elevated experience, you still have a really wonderful broad demographic that each bring their own special sauce and magic to the experience. But I think for us on the production side, we want to carry through the elements that you find on the ship side. So just a kind of service, a level of service that we could provide to our guests that matches Silversea. And that is not just me and my staff, but also it carries through to all the artists as well. And we've got Brian McKnight, we've got David Benoit, and we've got wonderful new artists, this incredible singer named Haley Reinhart, and we've got wonderful saxophone players, violinists, all different kinds of music. So they, in rehearsal, when we're in rehearsal before we take the cruise, that's what we talk about. The music sort of takes care of itself. What we talk about is, how do we want to be? What kind of experience do we want to deliver for our guests? And it's not just the musicians too, it's all the speakers and all of our staff members to really over-deliver on the experience. So for this particular segment of our cruise population, they are getting the best of the best.
That's wonderful. And what made these destinations the right choice? Because I know you pick all these things. You decide all these things. And how is experience going to be different when you explore them with SOMMA compared to a big ship?
Well, one of the things that SOMMA gives by just its nature is it allows us to get into ports that the bigger ships often can't get into. So you're getting definitely a different experience. What I love most about SOMMA from the last 2 years that we've done it is I love waking up in the morning and opening up my curtains and seeing this new city, this new town, new port gleaming, the water glistening. It's just such an exciting thing. And every day is a new port. I think we might have one sea day on our cruise coming up in November, but that's it. So traveling in the Adriatic, because all these ports are so close together, you can wake up in the morning and open your curtains and be in a new city, in a new country, go out, even if you don't do an excursion or do something that's planned, you can just walk off the ship. Usually the ship is right there in the port, is right there in the town. And you walk off the ship and go have lunch, have a glass of wine, plan your day. You don't have to plan it in advance. That's the beauty of this area of the world.
Yeah, and cruising, of course, it's just go with the flow. You don't have to have a set hard schedule. Just enjoy yourself, right?
And unpack once.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of any cruise, really, is that you're going to multiple destinations, often multiple countries in 1 week. And you're not having to deal with, how do I move my bags from, get on this train and get on that flight and unpack and pack up and all that stuff. You just have to do it one time and just sink into the experience.
Yeah, that's what I love about the simplicity. You don't know customs going from place to place either, So we're going to get back to the music side of things. One thing fans always rave about is how accessible the artists are on board your cruises. What makes interaction between the musicians and guests so special on these voyages?
Well, for example, there's a lot of really talented musicians and artists, but this is part of the curation for me. It's not just about talent. It's about the quality of human being and the ability of that person to actually want to sit down at a table with guests and have dinner with them. There's a lot of artists, just totally honest, there's a lot of artists that don't want to do that. Right. So everybody that's selected for our cruises, whether it's the big cruise or SOMMA, the artists that are on that cruise and musicians are chosen not just for their talent, but for their ability and their desire to actually get to know people. And I think that's really what's wonderful. I'll go into the dining room on any given night, and I'll see this artist over here. We had Peebo Bryson, the incredible vocalist, on our cruise last year on SOMMA. And the first day at the sail away, Peebo came to me. He's an old friend of mine. And Peebo said, before the end of the week, I'm going to meet every passenger. And I'm like, Peebo, come on. Well, you know what he did? He made it his point to introduce himself to every passenger, at least, the ones that were available in the dining room or in the breakfast room or wherever he would encounter them. And I can't tell you how many guests came up to me, John, and said, I had the most beautiful conversation with Peebo Bryson out of the blue. That is SOMMA.
That's incredible. And that's so unique. Just like you said, you're curating all of this. And of course, you're picking the right human beings that happen to be wonderful artists and speakers to join in what you're sharing with the guests. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a very special thing. And I have to tell you, too, the all the musicians, not anybody that can, myself included, we sit in on all the talks, because the talks are what really give the SOMMA experience, this sort of 360-degree experience of mind, body, soul, something that you really like. These are a lot of people that have done everything right in their lives. They've met their sweetheart, they got married, they had kids, they had great jobs. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're retired, maybe they're on vacation, but they're at a point in their lives where it's now about them, that they don't have to do things for other people. It's like this week is about your own nourishment in any way that it feels right. And a lot of these talks, we call it Secret Knock at Sea. It's run by this guy named Greg Reed, who's one of the foremost, he's an incredible author, best-selling author, and foremost motivational coaches. And his network of people that he's brought on our cruise to inspire our guests, including all of our musicians too, and myself included as well. That's what this cruise is also all about, is living your best life. Really just sinking into what it is that makes you happy.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I think, even the younger generation wants enrichment and they want experiences. And you're seeing that more and more. People want to have more than just a great dinner. They want to have a total experience like you're sharing. It's really wonderful. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's one of the things that's funny too, is and what makes it so nice for me and other artists is if you're going to a show at a concert venue, you have the audience and the artists have about 2 hours or an hour and a half or 2 hours to kind of have that experience together. Yeah. But usually there's no, the audience member is not invited backstage. There's no chance to meet your artist. This is on two levels. One is the intimacy of being on vacation with your favorite musicians, number one. And the second thing is that you can build on the experience over a course of 7 days. It's not 2 hours on one night. It's 7 days, 24 hours, 7 days in a row. So you can build on this connection. And that's one of the things that, for me, being able to see that happen in front of my very own eyes, where artists and regular guests become friends and see each other. They make contact and they see each other after the cruise. That's my best. If there's one feather in my cap that I wear most proud, that would be it.
Now, you kind of touched on this earlier about Peebo and how you want to have an artist that actually can sit down and have a dinner with the guests and stuff like that. So what other type of things that came to your mind when you picked up the lineup for this year? I'm sure you've got your, it's complicated, right?
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a puzzle, because you want to make sure that you have enough of the big names. But then also, I know our guests really are interested in newer artists as well. Okay. This is something that happens on our other cruises, that you have all the headliners that I know for sure that our guests want to see, the name brands of the world of jazz and R&B music. And then the cruise happens, and what people talk about when they're leaving is the smaller artists they saw in this small venue, and there was only 30 people there, but this artist who they'd never heard of before blew them away. And then when they get off the ship, they're like foot soldiers for that artist's, building them up and helping them establish more of a broad career. And that same thing happens on SOMMA. We had last year this young guy named Brian Eng, who is a New York crooner. He's like 26 years old. He brought his trio. So these are these young musicians. And we put them in this venue on the Ovation, where it was a smaller venue. And it was the music, not every night, but let's say over the week, they played 4 shows later on in the evening. And the first show, not very crowded. By the end of the week, those were the most popular shows of the cruise, because he just ingratiated himself to all these people who had never even heard of him before. And when they all got off the ship, they were foot soldiers for Brian Eng. And now he's on a roll right now. I got to say, he just had a video that he released that surpassed something like 3 million views or something. So he is well on his way.
Do you think it's because people have, obviously it's not a big name. If you have a big name and you might have, be familiar with their music, you kind of have an expectation, but here's a new name, a new face. You sit down and all of a sudden this person just blows you away. Is that what the excitement, and I'm sure the guests are talking, you got to see, this person, right?
The ownership of new artists, when I don't know if you've done it recently, but we used to do that a lot more when we were kids. You'd be oftentimes you'd be in the record store. Oh, yeah. I remember this from my childhood. Yeah. In an aisle of a record store, and somebody else is shopping and picks up an LP, and then you ask that person, who is that? I never heard of them. And then they give you the recommendation. You buy the album on a chance. Yeah. And then you take it home and you go, oh my God, I can't believe it. I feel like I'm the first person to discover this artist. That ownership of, like, when you feel like you found something really special, that happens. That happens constantly on our cruises. And then those people walk off the ship and they share these wonderful artists with their friends. And this is how music, especially nowadays, this is how music is working. And it's still kind of the old-fashioned way, even though our music business is so online and so tech-oriented now. But it really is about that word of mouth still is how people get over.
That's incredible. We haven't changed that much.
I guess not.
And that's got to be really, really rewarding for you. I mean, you've had amazing success, and to see someone that's coming up that might not have as big an audience as you have at the moment, finally, get a chance to grow, right?
Well, I discover a lot because I host a couple radio shows as well, so I'm always on the lookout to find new artists. This happens quite a bit though, where I hear something and I've never heard it before, and I get really excited, and I'll go on their Spotify or their Apple Music, and I'm thinking that they might have zero audience, and then there's one song that has 7 million plays, and this song has 15 million plays. This is the modern music business is kind of it's truncated into tranches, really, and you don't necessarily know, because the old mediums that used to be that everybody listened to, radio, for example, now radio is sort of not very important. It's really more about how you find music online, and again, going back to friend recommendations and family recommendations. It's really still about that in a lot of ways.
Okay, very interesting. What's different about performing on a smaller ship like the Silver Nova that you can be on on a SOMMA cruise compared to a big ship? It's got to be much different.
Well, in a big ship, there's these big showrooms with a big proscenium stage, and you are, separated from the audience. It's raised up, and it's like point of focus. On the last two SOMMAs, I think that I was probably 2 feet away from the person that was in the front row. And, I play saxophone, right? And I sweat a lot. So there's like, perspiration or spit that comes out. I'm like, during the whole show, I'm like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'm so sorry. But that proximity to the music is one of the things that I think really makes it interesting for our guests, because you want to say like an intimate venue. I mean, it is intimate with a capital I. The musicians are on top of the guests, and the guests are on top of the musicians. It's really like a living room. In that main showroom, it really does feel like you're in somebody's living room, where you can do anything and say anything. It's much more relaxed. It's much more casual. Even on a formal night, which we had the last 2 years, people dressed up in tuxes and beautiful gowns, and yet there's an informality that exists in the showroom that allows people to just chill and relax and enjoy and really embrace the music that's being made from the musicians.
That's incredible. And I know we talked about the speakers earlier. What can you tell us about this year's speakers, and what kind of opportunities the guests have to interact with them and dive deeper into the topics that they'll be covering?
Well, I think that what we want to do is create different kinds of lanes in our speaker series, and this is something that that Greg Reed, who from Secret Knock at Sea, is the one that's primary responsible for that. So we have a medical doctor who can talk about all different kinds of things, ailments and things that are important to our guests. We have someone that specializes in AI. AI, we've talked about before, is such a hot button issue right now that people of all walks of life are trying to grapple with and figure out. And then we have some business people, some people that talk about how they made it in the world of business. And then there is one session, which I find probably the most interesting, that is hosted by Greg, where he goes around to actual guests to hear guests' life stories.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And just because you're one of the speakers or one of the musicians doesn't mean that that's anything better than what you have to offer. And I think we have such a profoundly interesting group of guests on any cruise that we do. So Greg's one of his things that he's mastered is figuring out who has something that they can share from their own lives that can inspire all of us. The whole goal behind the speaker series and the music series is really about inspiration, but going back to the real things that in this life and time that we're living in right now, where the outside world is on fire and you have no idea what's going on, we can create a bubble of inspiration and support and love that hopefully when the boat docks, people take a little nugget of that experience and spread it into their own lives. That's what it's all about for us.
That's really wonderful. And I'm kind of going to piggyback on this, kind of your answer here. But let's say we're talking to someone that's never been on a music group cruise, a theme cruise like we've been talking about, or your cruise, and might just be, learning about the SOMMA today, watching this video, what do you think this voyage is perfect? Who do you think this voyage is perfect for? And what kind of lasting impact can it have on people who come on board that'll cruise with you either this one, next one, or in the future?
Well, I want to say that I wouldn't want to put parameters on who I think it's perfect for, because if some of the things that we've talked about on this video sound appealing, then maybe that's a calling. And I look out at the audience, and I can't see necessarily a through line of the through line that I can see are people who are curious, people who are curious about the world, people who are curious about themselves and discovering unearthed parts of themselves, a curiosity about life, about music, about creativity and culture, people that love food and love wine and love experimenting in cocktails. One of my favorite things about the Silversea is their salt kitchen, which is a test kitchen. And it has, I think there might be like 12 seats at every seating. And a chef will go through, it's a long experience. It was like 3.5 hours,
Oh, wow.
But wine pairings and these unbelievable dishes that, they had to wheel me out of that place. I was so full. But those kinds of things, curiosity about how to improve your life and make your life where you feel like I'm living my best life. That's really the through line. And what I hope people feel when they get off the ship is that it was worth it.
That's wonderful. So curious people, really, that's who you hope would, be able to enrich themselves with this opportunity to cruise with you and all of your friends that happen to be amazing musicians. That's incredible. Really, really incredible. And congratulations on all your success. 15 years of sold out cruises. The SOMMA cruises have sold out. Obviously, it's very popular, and I'm very happy to have this conversation today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love talking with you about this, and it was challenging to put it into words. It's impossible, by the way, to put these experiences into words. You have to kind of feel for yourself, but it was a nice challenge to try and get some words out about it. And if anybody would like to find out more information about our SOMMA cruises, you can just go to our website, which is somma.life, and that's SOMMA.life. And we'd love to see you on a cruise. And you too, John.
Well, thank you. I'd love to join you. And I hope to one day. I think we're going to try to put the video on afterwards so people can learn about the 2026, SOMMA 2026, and the Jewels of Adriatic, right?
Absolutely.
Be wonderful. So that'll be followed this video. And he is Dave Koz. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you too, John. Lovely to talk to you.
In a world that moves faster than ever, sometimes the most precious gift we can give ourselves is the chance to slow down. In 2026, I'd love for you to join us on a voyage that's more than just travel. It's a journey for the heart and the soul. This is SOMMA, Jewels of the Adriatic. 7 unforgettable days, a rhythm of music, meaning, and Mediterranean bliss. We begin our voyage in Athens, Greece, the birthplace of philosophy, drama, democracy, and the perfect place to start something timeless. From there, we sail to Bari, Italy, where sunlit alleyways and coastal charm open the door to the Adriatic. In Kotor, Montenegro, a hidden gem tucked into a picturesque bay awaits. Then it's on to Dubrovnik, Croatia, where ancient stone walls hold centuries of stories and rooftops glow like fire above the sea. Split welcomes us next, where Diocletian's palace still hums with life and laughter, followed by Zadar, a city where the past and present play in beautiful harmony. And finally, we arrive in Venice, Italy, the floating city in all her splendor, welcoming us the way travelers have arrived for generations by sea aboard the spectacular Silversea Silver Nova. On board, every detail has been thoughtfully designed, every moment crafted with care. This is truly your sanctuary at sea. You'll taste the very best of Greece, Italy, Montenegro, and Croatia, curated by culinary masters who know how to make a meal a lasting memory. You'll hear stories that lift you up, connect with travelers who feel like old friends, and be reminded of just how beautiful this life can be. And yes, you'll feel the music, up close, honest, in spaces where every note connects, and every performance feels like it's just for you. Because SOMMA isn't just a cruise, it's a celebration, a gathering of soul, sound, and spirit. And long after the last port, that feeling stays with you. SOMMA 2026, Jewels of the Adriatic. Come be a part of what we're building as we write the next chapter of SOMMA together.